mystical practical. I'm thrilled to be joined by Erica Ballard, spiritual mentor, sound healer, and mindfulness coach for high achievers who are ready to truly walk their talk. Erica's mix of high performance mindset and soulful wisdom helps people break free from perfection trap and reconnect with their inner knowing. Whether you're a self-help junkie or just craving real transformation, this conversation is for you. So let's dive in. Welcome to the show, Erica. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you so much for having me today. Truly appreciate it.
Mhm. So, Erica, you work with a lot of high achievers who are spiritually curious but stuck in perfectionism. Why do you think they need to be perfect often coexist with a deep desire to heal?
That's a great question. So, I have found that with high achievers and coaches, this idea of perfection, this idea of not screwing up, um, they're doing it to avoid pain. And in this way that healing has evolved into a business, we consciously and unconsciously feel like if we don't feel any pain, then we're probably healed. And so we're seeing this cycle where people focus on making everything perfect in a way to avoid pain, to tell themselves that they're healing, but really it's a perpetuation of the problem.
Mm-hmm. Right. And how do you help someone recognize when perfectionism is actually blocking their healing?
The answer for that, for me, I know that there's a lot of ways, but when I think about it, it's how you feel. Trying to be perfect doesn't feel good. There's a tightness, there's a constriction, there's a constant fear, there's void. There's these feelings you do not want to feel happening on a regular basis. And when we're able to gently point that out, show that these things that you're doing are not leading to the way, not only is it not leading to the things you want thus far, which is why we're working together, but that these feelings cannot match that vibration. These feelings that you want to feel, that you think all these things will bring you, um, aren't coming, like, that you have to feel them first in order for those things to come through. Like when all these things are started to point out, it becomes clear that perfectionism is a block, but you have to understand some of the universal laws, right? You have to be willing to understand the role your emotions and feelings play in creating your desires and aligned life. But I will say that when we're able to really, at a very human level, say, do you feel how you want to feel by trying to be perfect? The answer is almost always no. And from there, we can see uh, how it's holding them back from what they most desire.
That really hits home. So many people think that they have to get it right before they are worthy of healing.
Mhm. Totally.
Mhm. You make spirituality super practical. What's your take on connecting with our inner knowing in the middle of busy, messy lives?
Yeah, I think in all things, and we do this with perfectionism, we overcomplicate pretty much everything, right? In an order to, in an effort to avoid true feelings, true knowing, and really what that is to avoid the fear. That's the interesting thing I think about perfectionism is it's often an overcomplication of what needs to really occur. And if we could just let down the optics for a little bit, we'd understand that we have our own unique path forward. And we can find it even in this chaotic world, even in your chaotic mind, when you spend some time getting silent, which I know could feel really difficult, and in the beginning, let's just call it what it is. It is, like, you don't have the nervous system capacity, it's unfamiliar to your body, it doesn't feel comfortable, it doesn't work as quickly as you want, but what I find is that if you can find that space to get quiet, even for a minute a day, you're gonna be able to hear that path, hear that guidance because spirituality is meant to be practical. It's not some live in a cave, right? Isolate yourself type of thing. It's meant for all of us because we're all on a spiritual path, whether we're awake to it or not. And so when I think about that question, it's really learning how to operate differently in this world. When you constantly stay busy, when you're constantly needing to do things, right? You're in the human space. And so to break free of it, it's being rebellious enough to get quiet for a minute and then growing that, right, to 2 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. And from there, you'll get those intuitive nudges, you'll get those hits. And then because you spent time to build the capacity within your body, you're able to drop in more quickly and more regularly to hear the nudges and take the advice that you hear, period.
Absolutely. And is there a daily practice you swear by for staying grounded in that inner wisdom?
There is. I have a mentor, his name is Mitch, and I love him. And, he taught me this practice called the name your thoughts practice. And you do it, yes, when you're feeling overwhelmed, but you also do it 3 times a day. So what that looks like is 3 times a day. For me, it's, morning, evening morning, right, like, around when I wake up, lunchtime, and then before I go to bed, I just watch my thoughts because that's what the name of the practice name your thoughts practice is. It's naming and watching your thoughts as they come up. So if you're feeling like this morning, it was, I got to do this. I need to start my day. Right. And so I'd say, I got to do this. Oh, it's the do this thought. I got to start my day. Oh, the start my day thought. Man, I'm feeling a little behind because my 1 year old didn't want to sleep through the night. Oh, blaming my 1 year old thought. And I would just name them and I just keep naming them until they cease. When they cease, that's when I'm in my true nature. That's when I'm in connected with what I really am. And I realize all those thoughts weren't really me. And more so, they're not even true because I'm operating on God's source spirit law, not human law. And it brings me back to that grounding energy, to that stillness and calmness, in that peaceful vibration. So that's a practice I do 3 times a day, regardless. And then when I'm feeling overwhelmed. So if I'm starting to feel that constriction in my body, if I'm starting to feel fear because I'm human too, I'll just stop and I'll name my thoughts and I'll do that until I get really still. And that's when downloads, that's when the truth, that's when um, remembering happens for me.
I love that you show it doesn't have to be all white robes and silence. Inner connection can fit into real life.
It really can. And, when you look at practices, I've been studying Yogananda quite a bit, and I love studying Yogananda for many reasons. But one in particular is because he shares stories of the people he works with and people he looked up to and gurus that he had the fortune of knowing. And a lot of people, right, in the East understand this. They work, quote unquote, 9 to 5s, but have this practice built into their lives. It's not a every Sunday, right? Like in America, every Sunday we go do this thing for an hour and we call it good. It's like, hey, we bring it with us. It's part of our culture. It's part of our conversation. And I love studying that and seeing that because everyone's a mystic. Everyone's a healer. Everyone is spiritual. We all are walking each other home. And when we realize that we're able to integrate and harmonize these practices, it makes it so much easier because not all of us want to go vegan. Not all of us want to wear all white. Not all of us want to live, on a mountaintop. We want to live lives with the people around us. And we can if we start to integrate it instead of pull it separate from us.
hmm Right. And you have been described as a mix of high performance and woo woo. which is awesome. How do you blend mindset work with energy healing in a way that feels natural for your clients?
So I'm fortunate that my clients come in already open. When you start to study self help and personal development, if you stick with it for more than 6 months, you're always finding an undertone of spirituality. It's always there. And so it's very easy to blend the two in my world. But what I will say is because I had to make the bridge myself, the way that I was able to do it and in the beginning, when I was working to bridge the gap with clients, as I was, moving more into the space, I relied on the science. So I went to Tufts Medical for my master's, and you don't go to a medical school for your master's, and research in that space without understanding science and really loving it. And I still do to this day, and I think what's really fun is that the science world is catching up with, the woo, these ancient practices, the things that we've known have worked for thousands upon thousands of years. And so I help explain neural pathways. I help explain, I use quantum physics to explain how energy works and brings things into reality. And so relying on the science of it to help them see that this stuff is tangible, is being studied, has results, makes it easy for those who are, spiritually curious or on the fence. But here's the one thing I will say is, my job isn't to convince anyone that the stuff goes together. And so if it's not your jam, I'm not sitting here trying to shove the science down your throat. But what I do know is that most people inherently understand it, and when they're willing to open up to it, the results are just so much faster and it's undeniable. And so I think that that's why people keep coming back and continue to open up more and more to the woo and the growth mindset stuff.
Absolutely. And do you find that people are more open to woo once they experience tangible results?
Mm. Yeah, I I do. That's a really good question. Uh, It's hard though, right? Because we want the result before we believe, but we have to believe to get the result in the manner that we want it or as quickly as we want it. I do think that God's first spirit has a good sense of humor and wants you to come back and uses the universe, particularly for newbies, for people who are new to this space, to like allow the manifestation to come back that you put out to come quickly for you to continue on. But I would say yes, and the paradox that makes this stuff challenging and you have to really want it is that you gotta have the faith before a lot of the stuff truly drops, or and I should say, and you have to be able to keep your eyes open long enough to see the miracles unfolding until your manifestation truly drops.
That's such a smart approach. Meeting people where they are and letting the deeper work unfold naturally.
Yeah, it's your journey. It's their journey. They're in front of me, they're in front of you, they're in front of, people in the space because they know there's something in them that knows that they have a unique path, right? That they're here for something outside of what they are doing. And when you let people connect themselves, when you help pull out what's already in them and share with them, the truth of a lot of these practices, the way the universe works, the science that backs it, they can they can create their own path, and that's really what the goal is, to help people walk their path versus mine or someone else's.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And you have had an amazing career journey yourself. What was the turning point that led you to shift from public health and journalism into spiritual mentorship?
Mm. So I would tell you that there are two defining moments, but I didn't shift until recently. I would say there are two moments where I realized I needed to dig deeper. The first I can still see to this day. I remember sitting in my little Scion XA in Indianapolis driving to a job I had. And I remember telling myself, you should just stop dreaming. There's no point. This is your life and you're going to die. Like, which was so sad when you think about it. But I remember having that thought and then zooming back to it a little bit later, being like, whoa, that can't that can't be true. We've got to go figure this out, right? A little bit later, I came back to it. And as I was coming back to it, I saw a woman. Her name is Karen Kenny. She's awesome. I saw her speak on stage. I'll never forget it. She was in this like really cool vegan leather jacket, some Converse, Converse and Chucks on. And she said a bunch of things about A Course in Miracles, but she ended her speech with, the world needs saving and God sent you. And I mean, it shot through my heart. And I was like, whoa, could that be true? Could that be true that we're all here to quote unquote save, uplift? The language I'd use now is like uplift and open up and heal. But could that be true? And that really pushed me on a journey that I did not know I was going to go on. I was already moving in that direction, but that speech changed the trajectory of um where I was going. And so it's been a long, windy road as I've taken jobs, worked in health coaching, did, like you mentioned, public health, all of that. It was a long, long, windy road. But what I realized on that windy road is the only thing that's ever kept my interest and the only thing that's kept my heart full has been spirituality. And I also know that my gift is explaining really complicated information in a way that people can understand it. And yeah, sometime last year I just said, you know, actually not sometime after I had my second child, I was like, you got to walk your talk if you want these girls to too. I have 2 little girls, and so I decided to take the thing that's most important to me and help people better understand their path and their spiritual journey. And so, yeah, there was a lot of things that got me here, but those are the 2, I guess 3 if you count the birth of my youngest, that really moved me forward.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And was there a resistance at first, either from yourself or your circle, about making that leap?
There was only resistance. There was only resistance. I've known I wanted to do this for over a decade, truly. And it like I mentioned, my background in science, I don't wanna say held me back, it's been extremely helpful, but my background in science made me feel crazy because I could experience and feel and hear things that at that time I couldn't put science to, and so I was really, really scared to come out of the woo closet, the spiritual closet. I thought people would judge me. I thought, I would be banished. I thought all of the things I think that a lot of, high achievers and extremely rational people who start to have this interest in this world go through. But what I came to is that I'm the only person that matters, like, because we all matter, because we're all one. So it's like these thoughts that I think other people are having are the thoughts that I have about myself. And as long as I am able to make peace with it, others will make peace with it as well. And if they don't, that's really okay because there are little pieces of me that's probably always going to resist this or, yeah, that was a good word, like resist this. And that's okay. I don't need them to agree with me. I just need to stand firm in what I believe to be true, even when fear kicks in.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of listeners are at that crossroad, feeling called to pivot but scared to let go of the familiar.
Mhm. Yeah. That's, uh that's it, right? That's most of us. We know what was, we know what could be, but the unknown is so scary because we've been conditioned to believe that XYZ will get us there. And then we do those things and then we don't get it. We don't get that feeling. We don't feel free. We don't love our lives the way we're told and sold we would. And now we're given an alternative path that are like, well, the defined one didn't work. So how will this unknown one work? And then you look around you and, there are people. eh, Listen, I love the spiritual space. I'm weird. I love all of it. But there's also some stuff that'll put you off, And so you're like, "Well, I don't wanna turn into that person because I like this like, it's just so normal. And what I would say is you gotta take the leap if it's in you, because if it's in you, it's for you, and more importantly, like, no one's asking you to turn over your whole life. What we're really doing is saying, "Hey, just follow your curiosity." Just follow that without holding so deeply on to what was. And if that feels really hard, if what I'm saying is like cool, but then there's work within your mindset and within your body that needs to take place, because the capacity to step into the unknown is built over time. So to those folks, I'd say, yeah, I get it. Totally. There's like 6 billion things fighting against that pivot in your head and in culture and the collective and all of that. And if that's how you're feeling, you gotta go after it, because the collective is not a happy they're not it's not that full of happy people. You've gotta be rebellious enough to move in that direction, and it's okay to need help to do so. That's why all these books, all these podcasts, all these, healers, all these coaches, that's why people are here to help you on your path, because you're not alone, and we're stronger when we're woken up together.
Absolutely. So, for women who are deep into self help but still feel stuck, what's one piece of advice you'd give them to truly embody what they've been learning?
Mm. My advice, and that's a really good question, is to really commit to 1 or 2 of the exercises that they are reading about. Because here's what I find. When we're really into self-help, we're really into absorbing knowledge, hoping that that osmosis will enable the embodiment of who we wanna be. But it's the experiences and the exercises that bring forth both the inner knowing and the contrasts that refine uh, what we need to do, our knowledge, etc., to get us to that aligned life. And so, my big, big piece of advice is stop reading the exercises and saying, I know, I've already done that. And instead, truly commit, truly do it, follow through with whether it's the name your thought practice that I just mentioned earlier for 30 days, or whatever book you're reading with an exercise that you ran past because you've kind of done it before. Like, really do it. And that will get you into embodiment.
That's such a needed reminder that information alone isn't transformation until we live it.
Hmm.
So, Erica, thank you for showing us that healing and growth doesn't require perfection, just presence and willingness. And to all our listeners, if you're ready to stop trying to be perfect and start being whole, check out Erica's work and get inspired. Keep you tuning into your inner light. It always will.